Okay, folks, I'm back. It's Jeff Landfield here, coming to you live from my studio in Anchorage. Wild day. It's very strange because it's early summer, way past the regular session, and just a lot happened today. The big one is, you've probably heard by now, Governor Dunleavy called a special session in August, which I'll get into in a second about what's really going on. Brett Huber, who was formerly working with the governor, deputy chief of staff, he's back meeting with the governor. It sounds like maybe he's now leading that group, Power the Future Alaska, which Rick Whitbeck used to lead. There was a meeting with the minority and the governor, which I'm going to talk about. There was statements from the speaker, Edgmond, and Senate President Gary Stevens. I mean, just basically it felt like kind of middle or like the end of session when a lot's going on. Normally in the summertime, there's just not. I mean, this week's been kind of wild. We had this whole thing with Murkowski and Sullivan and this big beautiful bill, and then we had this thing yesterday with LaFrance and her 1 year and this whole kind of botched event they did. I did a live stream on yesterday, so just a lot has been happening in the last couple of days. It feels like kind of the middle of session when just things are moving very quickly and stuff's happening. So basically, yesterday I heard that the governor was going to call a special session. Now the way it works is, unless it's within 1 hour after the regular session, when he can call them back immediately. So basically within 1 hour of the adjourning of the regular session, he can call them back immediately. After that, he has to give them 30 days notice. So he made the proclamation today, and it starts August 2nd, which is a Saturday at 10 a.m. And the things on the call or on the agenda, which the governor sets when he calls a special session, or she, is at Department of Agriculture, creating a Department of Agriculture, which the legislature already rejected earlier this session. He had an executive order. They rejected it 32 to something. It was 28. It was kind of pretty close, but they rejected it. And then education reform. So these are the two things that are on the agenda. But what's really going on, and this is, I'm going to talk about kind of a meeting that happened today with the governor and the House minority, which is really loose. The Constitution says, let me just pull this baby up here. I got a little bit of I got my handy Constitution here. Let me go ahead and do this. I'm going to make sure I do this correct here. Let's see here. So we're going to do that. Hello. So over here, the Constitution right here, this is about veto override. Bills vetoed after adjournment of the first regular session of the legislature shall be reconsidered by the legislature sitting as one body no later than the 5th day of the next regular or special session of the legislature. So the big one here, the big issue at hand is Dunleavy's veto in the budget of the BSA increase. The legislature passed a BSA increase of $700, raising it to $6,600 or something. Dunleavy vetoed that bill, the bill which increased the formula by $700. The legislature voted to override that veto, which required 40 votes. It's not only appropriations and revenue bills require 45 votes, 3/4. Other bills are 2/3, so 40 votes. So they voted 46-14 to override that. So 6 more votes than needed. But then in the budget, that's where the actually money gets spent on the BSA. Just like when Walker vetoed down the dividend, the governor can veto down an appropriation through a line item. So Dunleavy vetoed down 200 of the 700 increase, which is I think about $50 million to the base student allocation. Really pissed off a lot of people, but they couldn't do anything because they were out of session. So the kind of thought was, by the accepted kind of wisdom was, okay, they'll come back in January and they'll vote within 5 days to override the appropriation veto of the BSA increase. And they surely have the votes. If they had 46 to override the bill, then they have 45. They have one more than 45 needed to override the Nobody's going to vote to override the bill to raise the BSA and then not vote to override the veto of the appropriation. But by calling this in August, there's a problem. So Forrest Dunbar, who was a yes vote, who's for sure yes vote, he's in Poland for National Guard deployment. Other people are out of town. James Kaufman, I think he's abroad in Vietnam. There's a National Conference of State Legislatures summit in Boston from August, I think, 4th to 6th. And a bunch of legislators are supposed to go to that. Other people are traveling. Other people have plans. They have kids. So basically, Dunleavy is essentially forcing the legislature to come together, knowing they have 5 days once the special session starts on August 2nd, to act on the veto. And if they don't have 45 votes for override, which there's just almost and certainly they won't have that, then he kind of wins short term. short term, because what can happen, and I don't know if people, I mean, I'm sure the smart ones knew this, and I kind of thought about this myself, and somebody also told it to me. All they can do is come back in January, and for the next regular session, they can put together an appropriations bill for a $200 increase to the BSA that the governor vetoed, and they can pass that very quickly within a couple, they can do it in 3 or 4 or 5 days. I mean, the Senate can have a hearing, they can blah, blah, pass it real quick to the House or whatever, vice versa, have a hearing, pass it, they can just concur, the other side can concur. They goes to the governor. Now he has 15 days to act on a bill in the session, during the session, minus Sundays. So basically, it'll just delay the thing by a month, because they'll just pass a bill in January, early January, when session starts, send it to him. He'll have to wait. They'll override him. So the whole thing is kind of odd. There's also other bills. There's the SB 183, the bill the legislature passed overwhelmingly to kind of compel the Department of Revenue to cooperate on the oil and gas tax audit, which they've refused to cooperate with. This is something previous administrations did. They turned and documents and financial information related to the oil and gas credits, which are not just credits, but tax settlements, which are very big. We don't know how much they are. If they settle, we just know the full amount, but we don't know if it's like 10 cents on the dollar, 90 cents on the dollar. It's all confidential. So an audit's important. So he vetoed that, sent some kind of strongly worded letter to them saying, basically like, if you're accusing me of bad stuff, prove it. If not, fuck yourselves. And then today, Edgmond and Stevens sent a letter responding saying, a little more polite, but they said, hey, we think this is a problem. What's going on? Your letter is bad. This is kind of crazy. So that was vetoed. So that could be, that's only 40 votes to override, because it's a regular bill. And then there was another bill Robin Burke had about rural schools and kind of using some money to fund some more rural schools, kind of like Mount Edgecombe. And then there's other vetoes in the budget that could come up or be taken up. But the big one is the education. So this was, I heard about this yesterday. I was pretty sure, but I wasn't exactly sure if it was maybe misinformation. So then he calls a special session. And then earlier today, I get some tips on some good sources, several, where Dunleavy met with the House Republican minority and basically told them to not show up for 5 days. So don't come for 5 days, because some of those folks voted to override the education bill. And some of them thought it was very strange. Like, you're going to call a special session, tell us not to come. I mean, some of them are going to look really bad when they don't show up. And think of the election next year. It's like, you didn't show up to the special session, you didn't vote to override. I mean, there could be all kinds of unintended, or maybe he doesn't care, but could cause problems for some of these folks running for re-election. So, and then the other thing I thought about, and I had some discussions, was, well, what if someone doesn't show up and they aren't excused? Because a lot of folks, they ask for excusals. I'll be gone in August or September, October, whatever. I'll be on vacation. They know about it. So they're excused from a call of the House, which means you can compel attendance. Now, there's no way they're all excused for that part of August. So if somebody were to put a call on the House, obviously they're not going to be in Juneau, and it's an extreme kind of action. But it says in the rules and the legislature's rules, and this has happened before, I think back in the 70s, they can send the troopers out looking for these folks and bring them in. But I guess Dunleavy, somebody brought that up, and Dunleavy said, don't worry, I'm not going to authorize the use of the troopers to come after you guys if you don't show up and they try to do a call, which is like really wild. I guess you get a pass for 5 days, do whatever you want. So some of them, I think, are really like nervous about this whole thing. And, some are going to show, but some might not show. And it's like, can he get 5 or 6 or 7 people to not show? I mean, some of his more kind of ardent supporters, Kathy Tilton, Sarah Vance, Kevin McCabe, Frank Tomacheski, Jamie Allard. Some of these folks are probably going to say, okay, we won't go. It doesn't matter. Maybe they aren't really worried about, but some of the more moderate, like, even like Bill Elam or Julie Colomb or Mia Costello, people in these moderate districts, they might be like, whoa, this is going to look really bad if we don't even show up. It could come out as a campaign issue. So I don't know. I mean, he called it. It says August 2nd. I mean, I guess he could, if he decides he could withdraw it and say, never mind. I mean, that would almost be worse than calling the special session as pulling it. So now there's a bunch of conversations about, who's going, who's going to show up, where they're going to stay. Some of these folks have apartments in the legislative assembly building. Some don't. Juneau is very difficult in the summer. Hotels are full. Everything's very expensive. It'd be, I was there in 2019 for some of the session when they had, limited staff. They almost considered, I kind of volunteered as a joke. They needed people to run basically pages to watch the doors and kind of pass notes and all that. And I kind of joked, hey, I'll do it. And they thought about it for about 5 seconds and said no, but it's having staff there. It's where staff are going to stay. And the other interesting thing is Dunleavy vetoed half of the money in the budget for a special session. Originally it was $1 million. The conference committee ended up with $500,000 money for a special session, and then he vetoed half, so $250,000. So there's a $250,000 left. To give you an idea, I mean that wouldn't pay for the per diem of just half the non-Juneau legislators for 30 days. It's 300 a day, times let's say 30 of them, 9,000. I mean, it just wouldn't even cover half of that. So it's kind of weird that he vetoed half the money. Now he's calling a special session. But again, it's not about this agriculture thing. It's not about education reform. None of that's going to happen. It's about stopping the veto override, at least temporarily, which I said they can alleviate by just passing a new appropriations bill in January. So there's also the possibility they could gavel in, they could gavel out. They could, right away, they could hold technical sessions and basically just have a few people there. There's ways to, I mean, he can't force them to. It'd be really funny. It'd be actually hilarious if the majorities showed up to the Wasilla gym. Remember he called the special session in June of 2019, and he called it at the high school, the Wasilla Middle School, I think, the gym. And then like a third of them showed up to the Wasilla school, and they had kind of like their own little fake legislature set up. And then the other ones showed up to Juneau, and nothing happened. It was kind of very loose. And there was, remember that little mini insurrection where these kind of like protesters took over it was the one day I didn't go. It was like the second or third day that I didn't go. There was like a little mini insurrection. There's that famous picture that Lance Pruitt, I should find it, where he took it with like the person who kind of stormed the floor. The whole thing was very, very odd. So essentially this is just kind of like really solidifying the war between the governor and the legislature over many things. The other thing is today, I already mentioned this, but they sent this letter back to Dunleavy, Gary Stevens and Bryce Edgman, the president and speaker, about this SB 183. So the well is poisoned. There's bad blood. I can tell you a lot of the legislators I've talked to are not happy about. They have trips planned, family, kids, all these. I mean, nobody is planning on going to Juneau in August. It's a really bad time with all the cruise ships and the finding a place to stay. Some of them are lucky with the apartments, but many aren't, and also staff. So it's kind of a wild situation. And like I said, I guess there is a chance, he mentioned this, it sounds like in that meeting to the House minority, that he could, if they don't want to kind of stick with him, then he could pull it and just cancel it, which again, I think would be worse than even calling it. And many of them didn't. I mean, Bryce Edgman, he put out a statement, the speaker, and he called it like a total surprise. What did he say? His was really short. Okay, here it is. So his was like, he said, proclamation calling for a special session came as a complete surprise. There was no session was further. And then you had Gary Stevens, the Senate president, who put out a little longer, but he called it disappointing. So they put out statements basically saying this is a shock, surprise, disappointed. Other people I've talked to have just, even some of the Republicans are minority Republicans are like, what the hell? This is like, not great. They're put in a really awkward position of either showing up, not showing up, voting yes, voting no. Some of these folks have opponents. It's still early. I mean, the filing deadline's not till next June 1st. So that's kind of that. I don't know what's going to go down, but there's a lot of options for things to happen between now and then when it starts. And then some of these folks in the legislature, they've been around a long time. Bryce Edgman, Bill Wielechowski, Bert Stedman. I mean, these are very clever guys. They have a lot of moves and maneuvers they could do, and I can't even think of them. And even if I tried, I mean, there some of these folks have been around a long time and they've seen stuff. So who knows what this could mean for the next session, the next regular session starting in January. It's Dunleavy's last session. He's termed out. He's the first governor basically to have a 2-term since Tony Knowles, who can't run. He's the first governor who was a lame duck, who can't run for re-election. Tony Knowles in 2002 could not run for re-election. He had 2 terms. Dunleavy is the first guy since Knowles to basically be a lame duck. He can't run for re-election. So what's he going to do? It sounds like he's kind of going scorched earth right now with this special session. So that's that. Check the landmine for updates. The whole thing's wild. It was a lot happened today between this and these statements and the SB 183, the audit, Department of Revenue bill. Oh, the other thing happened today was really strange. I gotta pull this up. I gotta make sure I have the right. Do I have the audio? This is like really strange. Let me pull this up. I heard about this a few weeks ago. There's some new Alaska fund, Northern, what the hell is it called? Frontier Fund, and Adam Crumb's involved and revenue people, and it's very strange. So, whoops. Hope we can hear that. I think the volumes are up here for that. So, this is very bizarre. So there's Ryan McKee, legislative staffer for Rob Yunt, minority staffer. Sean Fuller, a business guy, used to work in IT, had some companies. Ben Moore, lobbyist. Pat Carter, lobbyist. Now, they say the New York Stock Exchange welcomes executives and guests of the state of Alaska, executives. I mean, I don't know if Ryan McKee is an executive. Crumb's not there, even though he's in town. He put some thing in there about this Frontier Fund launch and some dinner. Maybe he doesn't want to be on camera at the stock exchange. And it says something about Prosper and Aligned Vident and Asset Management to celebrate the launch of the Frontier Economic Fund. To honor the occasion, Derek Kreifels, CEO of Prosper Aligned, will ring the closing bells. So this is today, July 2nd. Watch this. This is weird. Look at how happy Ryan McKee is there. There's Pat Carter, lobbyist. Yeah, so I don't know. Wild. Hitting the gavel. So I don't know what the hell that's about. Someone told me, my financial buddy told me that they only traded 2,000 shares or something. I said, is that good or bad? I don't know. What does that mean? Is that good or bad? And they said, well, you have to have 100,000 trades a month to not get delisted. So maybe they're starting off small and they're going to grow. I don't know. But this whole thing strikes me as very odd. I don't, the governor's not there. If it was a big deal, the governor would, or at least Crooked Crumb, the commissioner, would be there. He ain't there. But I know he's in New York because there was some thing he put out a few weeks ago that I tweeted. There's supposed to be a travel ban, I thought. There's supposed to be a travel ban. Remember the travel ban? I don't know. Doesn't apply to Crumb, I guess. So that's another thing that happened today. A lot of things happened on a Wednesday, July 2nd. I'm going to end this thing here. Thanks for watching, folks. I'm doing more of these live streams. If you like the landmine, please consider making a one-time or monthly recurring donation. You go to alaskalandmine.com/subscribe, or you can go on the website and just go to subscribe. Or if you have a group or a business or any kind of organization that wants to do an ad, we have great analytics. We have a lot of viewers to the website. Reach a lot of folks. It's be appreciated if you wanted to. I can send you the rate sheet and the analytics, or if you want to make a one-time or monthly recurring donation, we'd appreciate that. I'm headed to Seward tomorrow. My company, I co-own Tudor Road Studios. We're broadcasting Mount Marathon. It'll be on their Facebook page and YouTube channel, as well as broadcast live on Channel 2 and KYES on Friday, and then rebroadcast on Saturday. It's the men's race, the women's race, and then the juniors race. So there's going to be a lot going on down there. Have a great 4th. It's America. Happy birthday, 249. Next year's 250. It's a big one. It's love that. America. So thanks for watching, and we will see you guys next time. Let me close this.